Welcome back to this new video. Today I'm going to show you how to make a Phase 2 Captain Rex helmet. And this video took me a really long time to make because I really wanted to get all the details down on the helmet because it's such an iconic look that you cannot mess it up. So I really tried to get that realism and I think I did that pretty well. So with all that said, we're going to start building the helmet. Right, so the way I'm starting this project is a bit different than what I usually do, because on this helmet I'm going to use an oval piece instead of those crossbars that go like this. And what I'm going to do is make the visor, and then we can glue that onto the helmet or onto this oval shape, and then we can work our way around the helmet after that's glued on. And the reason why I'm doing this is because when you have that strip of cardboard that acts as the main support piece for where the entire helmet is made off of, when you have that, once you make the dome, it first goes up like that and then you have the dome. But when you're using this, it will be a lot more smooth from front to back, so that's why I'm using this. So now I'm gonna trace this visor template onto this cardboard. So we're just gonna do that right now. Alright, so I've traced out the entire template piece onto some cardboard, and now I'm gonna cut it out and glue it onto this circle. Okay, so now that I have this all cut out, I'm gonna bend this piece so that it's more curved so that it can fit onto this circle. And what I'm also going to do is add another layer of cardboard behind, like right here, so that this will be a bit thicker and thus more accurate to what the actual helmet looks like. So I'm going to glue it on right now, and then we're going to start building these. Or no, not the cheek pieces. We're gonna start with the mouth and the teeth. Alright, so I finished these tubes on the side and also the chin. It's obviously not finished. I still need to make like that bevel right here, but it needs some work. But I finished the main structure, and now I'm gonna work on those cheeks right here and the side tube, and maybe I'll even start working on those ear covers. So I'm gonna do that right now. Alright, so I finished the side tube and also the earpiece of the helmet, and now I'm gonna actually show you how to make it. Let's get started. Alright, so these are the pieces that we're gonna be using, and we're gonna start off with these so we can get rid of this. And these two pieces are practically the same, and you're gonna want to glue them on top of each other. So I'm gonna do that right now. Right, next up we're going to take this piece and we're going to glue it right here. So I'm going to do that right now. So just put some glue in that groove you cut out and glue it on to the earpiece. And now all we got to do is glue this all the way to there. I'm going to trim it a bit too so that it will be in the middle. Alright, so now that I've finished making these, I'm gonna start working on that cheek wall piece, and then I'm gonna make the bottom lip or bottom wall piece, and then the side tube. So I'm gonna do that right now. Alright, so I just finished both sides, and I also started working on the back, and now I'm gonna make that piece of the tube that goes right here and also on this side, and I'm gonna start working on the entire back. Alright, so this is where we're at right now with the helmet, and looks pretty good. I start working on the back, as you can see, with this angled lip piece and also the back plate, which covers up your neck. And now I'm gonna start working on those back tubes that run all the way to one side to the other. And it kind of looks a bit wonky right now, but that'll be fixed, or it'll look better once we make that back plate that goes right here, that sort of like triangle shape with the circle on top. So I'm gonna start working on that, and after that we can start working on the dome. And I'm also going to cover up the corrugation that is in the visor, so I'm also going to do that. It's optional. I'm going to do it because it just looks better if you actually do that. So yeah, let's go. So right here I'm actually making some support pieces that will go underneath that bevel at the back, and those are just there to make the tube on the back a bit stronger, and also once you put on the spackle it will be less likely to crack. And these supports are just sort of like half circles that are kind of like in a teardrop shape, and just make those and glue them on with even spacing, and then your back tube will be a lot stronger. So as you can see, I started working on the back, and I just need to fill in these gaps, obviously, because I don't want any holes in my helmet for obvious reasons. And so I'm gonna do that right now, and after that's finished, I'm gonna start working on that back plate that goes right here, and then we're gonna start working on the dome, which I'm really excited for because I really want to see how this will all come together. Alright, so I just completed this entire back tube, and I also started working on that like back plate thing where that circle goes on top. So I'm gonna start working on filling in these gaps right here, and after that's done we can cut out these 4 pieces so that we can start working on the dome. And I'm also gonna probably start to cover up these all the corrugation on the entire helmet, like right here and right here. So I'm gonna do that right now. So right here I'm making that main strip that goes all the way from the front to the back, and basically what you want to do is each centimeter from the front all the way to the back, you want to make a cut that is about 1.5 centimeters inwards, and do that on both sides. And if you do this, you'll achieve that really smooth dome effect. Alright, so at this moment I have this much of the dome completed. As you can see, I already did 1 corner of the dome, and now I just need to do the remaining 3. So I have those cut out right here, and then I'm gonna cut out these slits all along the entire piece of cardboard, and then I'm gonna glue them on right here. So I'm gonna do that right now, and after that's done I'm gonna fill in these holes. So right here I'm just cutting out those supports that are on the inside of the dome, and this will give me easier access to those triangles, and it will make it a lot easier to trace out those shapes. So right here I'm filling in those triangle pieces, and how I do this is just I take a strip of cardboard that is about the width of the triangle, and I hold it up to the outside, and then from the inside I trace it out, and then when you cut it out it'll fit perfectly in that triangle. And I know this gets a bit repetitive after doing it 8 times, or maybe even after 3 times, but you only have to do it 8 times. So just take your time, and then when you're spackling, your dome will turn out a bit smoother, because if you have these like gaps in these triangles, the spackle's more likely to crack. So I made this quick template for the breathing tube details, so that will go right there. Can't really show it really good right now, but I'm going to transfer this onto some 0 box cardboard, and then I'm going to make those holes in here where the details will go, like those almost look like some kind of little speakers, so those will go in there. So I'm gonna transfer this onto some cereal box cardboard, and then I'll be back. Alright, so this is that chin piece I was talking about, and I still have to glue it in and kind of trim it, but this is to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. As you can see, those insert things right here that like makes it a bit more 3-dimensional, and that's also where those kind of speaker things will go. So I'm going to glue this in, and then I'll be back, and then I'll probably start making those details right here. As you can see, I have that back strip groove all finished, and I also finished that thing that's on, like the fin that's on top of the helmet. As you can see, I covered up all the corrugation, even the small bits inside of here. And I started working on those earpieces and the rangefinder, and this piece will go right here, but I will put that on after everything's painted, because otherwise I have to sand in between here, and that's really hard. So, and actually on most clone trooper helmets there's this little strip that's across on here, like, I don't know, I don't really have a good piece of cardboard, but it's a little bit smaller, but it goes like that. And actually Rex does not have that. Well, actually on most of my reference images there is no strip that goes along here. I looked at some reference images from Imperial Surplus, and they're not on there, so I'm not going to put it on there. So I'm going to continue working on these earpieces, and yeah, I'll see you in a bit when I finish those. So right here I'm just applying the spackle over the entire helmet, and make sure you put enough on there so that all the cracks are filled, but don't put on too much, because otherwise you're going to have a lot of sanding to do. And while I'm spackling, I'm just watching a TV show because it gets really boring after a while. So this right here is probably the most boring part of building a helmet, and that is the sanding process. But I do recommend that you spend a fair bit of time on this, because if you sand more, then your helmet is probably going to look a bit smoother. And how to get your helmet really smooth is just sanding and filling, and eventually you'll get it really smooth. So right here I've already sanded the entire helmet and put on a layer of primer, and now I'm putting on some filler primer, which is the first time I'm actually doing that, and it's fantastic. I mean, your helmet just gets so smooth. And after this layer I spackled it one more time and sanded it one more time and hit it with another coat of filler primer, and then it got really smooth. So as you could see in those clips before, I spray painted the entire helmet with some filler primer, and after that I put on a layer of white, and now I've masked off where the J guys will go and also the blue on the front of the helmet. I still need to mask off all these parts, but I'm probably going to do that with some paper, because otherwise we'll be wasting this beautiful Mace Windu masking tape. I'm gonna mask off the rest, and then we can spray paint the blue parts on the helmet. So as you can see, I finished painting all the blue areas, and the J guys came out looking really good. And I also made the gray teeth, or I painted them. Now I'm gonna probably start to weather this a bit and also make those weld lines that go on, like right here and right at the top. And I think there are also weld lines in here, so that's going to be interesting to paint. And so yeah, once I have that finished, I can probably start working on finishing all the details and gluing them on. So I'm going to do that. So I'm just going to weather it and make the weld lines right now. So these weld lines basically consist of 3 layers. The brown layer, which I just mixed some paints until it looked right, and I just used the reference image to see what color I needed. And then the second layer is this blue paint, light blue, and the third layer is this thin line of white paint, and then you'll get that weld line effect. And you just want to repeat this everywhere on the helmet where there are weld lines. So as you can see, I put on all these tally marks, and I also painted the welding lines on the entire helmet. So now I'm gonna weather the entire helmet, and after I've weathered it, I'm gonna put on those lines that go right here. And actually I should have put the tally marks on after weathering, because now I have the risk of kind of scraping them off when I put on that paint. So I'm gonna weather it right now and then put on these, and then we're almost finished. So I actually need to do one more thing, and that is make the visor. And right now I just do it with this permanent marker on some plastic, but I want to start using some window tint, because then the visor will look a lot better, because sometimes when you get a bit close you can see like the lines of the marker. So I want to start using window tint, but I just haven't found a good brand yet. So probably next video I'll probably try to get some window tint to make the visor, but for now I'm just going to stick with this permanent marker. So I'm going to color in this entire piece. Alright, so I've colored in the entire visor. Now I'm going to cut it out and put it into the helmet. And that is it. That is how to make a fully wearable Phase 2 Captain Rex helmet. And I'm really proud with how this turned out, like, especially the J guys up top and all the details and the welding lines. It's really good. And this is my first helmet where I actually used filler primer, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. The entire helmet is really smooth right now, so I'm definitely going to be using it in the future a lot more. One thing I do want to improve on this helmet is the back, for like clone helmets in general. It's kind of still a bit too blocky. You can still see like where the individual pieces were. So I'm going to try to get that smoother on my next clone helmet. But overall, this helmet turned out really good. And yeah, I'm really proud of it. But with that said, that's how to make a Phase 2 Captain Rex helmet.